What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So over the last several months, we've been talking more and more about Sony moving some of their PlayStation titles over to PC. Well, yesterday, a supposed leak in the form of an image started to circulate online, and many of you sent me this, showing a couple of different PlayStation titles heading to PC in the form of a collection by the end of this year. We're gonna go over that one here today. Also, we are gonna be talking about the Game Boy Advance. It's been more than a decade since the last commercial release for this system, but now it looks like a new game is slated to be heading to this system here pretty soon. And we're also gonna be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. We're anticipating a next-gen version of this game for PS5 and Xbox Series X later this year. Turns out, though, that timetable may not be set in stone. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Marvel's Midnight Sun. Now, this was unveiled during Gamescom opening night live, and it was the rumored tactical-based game in the Marvel universe where you would fight alongside other Marvel characters, and we got the gameplay reveal for it yesterday. You can see some of it here, and for the most part, we were going along all right, and then things seemed to take a turn after people saw more details around some of the intricate parts of battle, which has to do with a randomized card system almost. And the biggest thing I saw from people is they saw the box that you open up, you got cards, and they're like, oh, okay, there's going to be loot boxes somehow attached to this with microtransactions. That was clarified, though, online, specifically on Twitter by some of the developers, mentioning that the only thing that will be attached for microtransactions will be cosmetics, I guess, for characters. The loot boxes won't play into that for like real world money. But I also believe the idea of, okay, this isn't exactly like an XCOM game like people were hoping for from Firaxis. It's gonna be a little different. I don't mind them trying new things, but I can understand some people looking at this and saying, oh, I could unlock a cool ability, but because it's a randomized card system kind of built into this, I may not be able to use that ability in battle because it's kind of just RNG. Yeah, I can understand how it would be a bit of a turnoff. It's set to come out next year in March, so I guess we'll just see what happens then. Also, we do have Tokyo Game Show coming up here at the end of this month, and it looks like they're gonna be trying something a bit different that has to do with virtual reality. You can see this posted up over on their website where they say, see your favorite characters right in front of you. Visit booths as if you were wandering around inside the gaming world. Experience the game show as a game, more freedom, more fun. With this idea, we're taking on the challenge of building the game show of the future. This is what TGS VR is about, the first ever game show in VR. And they go over some of the requirements here, for example, using an Oculus Quest 1 or 2 with a certain internet connection speed they have there of 20 megabits or higher. They also detail support for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, and they also go over some of the PC specs at the bottom of that page as well. I like the idea of having that as an option, just kind of working in VR. I feel like the Oculus Quest is probably going to be the one to use there, but you can use I guess a higher end headset there with like HTC Vive or something like that. But being able to technically visit these places without actually having to go to these places for a lot of people is more realistic, I would say, especially now. So, I mean, it might be something to check out, especially if they work in maybe special events or different things you can get by visiting these booths virtually. Just another way to experience the Tokyo Game Show overall. Oh, and we do have Super Monkey Ball coming up here in about a month, and they've been unveiling more and more guest characters, and for the most part, they've been ones that you unlock in the game, other than, I believe, Morgana, who's going to be like a DLC character that you buy. Well, looks like they did unveil another character. This one will also be a premium DLC, as they have outlined here. Yep, you can see the trailer. It is Hello Kitty. So there we go. A Hello Kitty is a DLC character that you will be available for purchase for $4.99 on release day. So I like the idea of the stuff being unlockable. I don't know, having a day one DLC right next to it, it's pretty clear it was held from the game itself. I mean, it could have to do with licensing for Hello Kitty. I'm not sure there with Sega and all of that, but I mean, they have Morgana, who is owned by Sega because they own Atlas, as a paid DLC character, and I kind of feel like they'll continue to add characters through paid DLC for Super Monkey Ball. Either way, though, I'm going to be picking up Super Monkey Ball because it's Super Monkey Ball and they're pulling from the older games that I really liked, but it is a bit of a shame to see these premium DLC characters show up here at $5 a piece, especially when you have several of them that are just unlockable in game like Beat or Sonic and Tails. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Sony, the PlayStation, and PC. We do know that Sony has been fairly successful in their efforts to move games to PC, specifically from a business side of things, because they did mention that their overall return on investment with Horizon Zero Dawn was like 250%. So naturally, they move over Days Gone. We'll find out how that did. And then they also announced plans for moving over Uncharted 4. And that was really strange to me. It's like, why are you doing Uncharted 4 when you have like the Uncharted collection that you could move over? Well, it looks like an image started to circulate around online of a supposed leak. And the good thing about this is there is a bit of a timetable here now where we can find out if this is true or not, but I'll admit it kind of makes sense. Here, we'll take a look at the image here. This was posted up on 4chan and then it was shared all over the place. Several forums, Reddit, everywhere. Twitter was just passing this around like crazy. But you can see Uncharted, the Naughty Dog PC collection. They're available on Steam and Epic Games Store. And it appears that it's basically just all the Uncharted games in one package. And I would assume that if this was correct, Sony would be doing this in an effort to be able to charge more money for, I mean, let's face it, games that aren't really worth much now. You can get Uncharted 4 really cheap. Even the collection is very cheap. I mean, they give away Uncharted 4 for the PlayStation Plus collection on your PS5. Now, the thing that's interesting is at the bottom there, they do have a tweet. It appears where it's pointing towards a December 7th release. And they have it set, again, according to this image, to be unveiled September 6th. And that's next week. So we're going to find out here pretty quickly if this is real or not. Now, it's from 4chan, and for the most part, 4chan is like 99% wrong. It's usually just like fan fiction things for like Nintendo Directs. Like you'll read them and you're like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's just someone who wants this stuff to happen and they're posting it up on an anonymous forum, just kind of having some fun. Same thing with these Smash reveals. Remember the Grinch leak? That was all over the place and turned out that was incorrect there. But occasionally they do get stuff right because remember, it's an anonymous place to just post information. So like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it was posted up April 1st, April Fool's Day, and it was completely correct, the whole thing. And people started to notice that it was correct months later after it was revealed. So occasionally you'll see correct things pop up. And fortunately for this, we'll know in about a week. Now, they did also have Nyx's logo posted there, and that would also make sense, considering we all figure Sony picked them up to make the overall transition and porting process from PlayStation over to PC a bit smoother and maybe even faster as they can work with some of these different studios like Naughty Dog to make sure everything is up and running. And I think it makes more sense to bring over the Uncharted collection, and why not throw Uncharted 4 in there, Lost Legacy, whatever, and maybe Sony does try a $70 price on this on PC. Most likely they go for 60, but I mean, we've seen Sony really try to push the envelope with pricing, and there's a lot of value there with a full collection of Uncharted games. Otherwise, hey, we do know Uncharted 4 is eventually going to show up on PC, and maybe they just try to get a $50 release out of a game that, like I said, is pretty much given away at this time to PS5 owners. But I'll keep you guys updated on this one, and next week we'll find out if it's correct or not. Next up, let's talk about the Game Boy Advance, specifically a new game heading to the system next year. And it's, like I said, it's been a while. It's been over a decade since a game officially released on cartridge for the Game Boy Advance, but we do have a new one coming up through Kickstarter, and I tend not to cover Kickstarter projects as much unless they've been completely funded. This one was funded very easily. We can head over here and you can see at the top there, over $152,000 has been pledged of the $24,728 goal. So like I said, it was very easy for them to do that. Over 2,100 backers, and they still have 24 days to go. This is Good Boy Galaxy. It's an exploration platforming game for PC, Switch, and Game Boy Advance. In fact, it appears that they were mostly targeting the Game Boy Advance, and they were going to have enhanced versions for Steam and Switch through like stretch goals, which they did hit, like I said, with no problem here. They're describing it as like a cave story or a cuter Metroid. And they do have several gameplay elements listed here, and they also have a trailer you can check out. Explore colorful, tightly packed levels with multiple routes, meet 50 characters and collect their friendship cards, traverse the galaxy, hunt down secret areas, and upgrade your blaster with special abilities. And they also have a nice little diagram here showing off what you get with the physical pack for the Game Boy Advance, the case, a cartridge, a box, stickers, whatever an instruction manual is. Does anyone know what an instruction manual is anymore in 2021 with their games? And they also have a special edition edition that comes with a mini art book and patches. And according to their timeline they have set up for backers, they are looking to have the Game Boy Advance version shipped out by the end of December 2022, along with the digital version on PC, and the Switch version following up March of 2023. I like the idea, though, of some of these Kickstarter projects targeting older retro systems. Yes, they are tugging on nostalgia because, like, oh, cool, I can buy a brand new Game Boy Advance game here in, 2022 as we go into next year. It's just fun, though, to get a new game for an older system. And even if you just like the game, you can still play it on PC. We've seen this quite a bit with the Dreamcast. That seems to be a system that a lot of these Kickstarter projects kind of gravitate towards. So it was just kind of cool to see one actually targeting the Game Boy Advance on a cartridge and everything. So go ahead and check them out. I'll leave a link to the Kickstarter down below. Next up, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. It was a disastrous launch at the end of last year. Came out for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and CD Projekt kind of got bailed out by the PS5 and the Xbox Series systems where, when playing through backwards compatibility, at least ran above 15 frames per second. But we have all been kind of waiting for this next-gen version or this next-gen patch for the PS5 and the Xbox Series, and according to the original roadmap that was put out there by CD Projekt, we were looking towards the end of this year to be able to get that patch, and I'm sure that new release in retail stores, there will certainly be a PS5 box for Cyberpunk 2077, I'm sure, showing up at Best Buy at some point. But it looks like it may not make it out this year. At least they're not 100% confident that it will. That being with investors on a conference call from CD Projekt. We head over here to VGC, where they transcribed the conversation, saying the target is to release the next-gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 late this year. At the same time, keeping in mind the lessons we have learned during the past year and taking into account that this project still remains in development, we can't say with full certainty that the production schedule will not change. With Witcher 3, the situation is slightly different in the way that this is being tackled by the external team mainly, which is Saber Interactive. As with Cyberpunk 2077, our goal is to release that game still in late 2021. However, similarly, the development process is ongoing, and we cannot be absolutely dead certain that the release schedule will not change. But for the time being, we definitely are aiming with both titles for late 2021, and I don't want to be more specific at this moment in time. It is strange because we are in September, so you feel like they will at least have an alright idea if it is coming out by the end of this year, because if it's just a patch and they don't have retail version yet for this holiday and that's something they're going to do next year, I mean, yeah, they could release it like right in the middle of December if they absolutely wanted to get it out this year. I feel like at this time, they're concerned so much that if they put out another broken product, which could come in the way of a patch, they could put a patch out for the PS5 or just a new version of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS5 and the Xbox Series, and it's broken again, that'd be kind of a problem, right? They're not exactly viewed in the best light right now by gamers, so if they do that again, yeah, that's going to be really tough to come back from. So I feel like right now they're just like, hey, we're trying to get this done. We don't want to commit to anything because it also kind of seems like they've been finding more bugs as they've gone through. Remember, they brought in like modders from the community for CD Projekt Red to continue working on Cyberpunk 2077. So they're doing whatever they can just to work on fixing Cyberpunk 2077 before they absolutely say, yes, the next-gen patches are coming out this date, which really, at this time, should tell you a lot about what we got in 2021. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the PlayStation Plus games for the month of September. This was unveiled yesterday on PlayStation Blog, where they put this nice little card up here showing off the 3 different titles. These will become available starting September 7th, and it'll run all the way until October 4th, starting with Overcooked All You Can Eat. That is the PS5 game of the month. Overcooked is a really fun game. It's great if you have another person you can play with as well. Doesn't really scream PS5 game though for PlayStation Plus, but nonetheless, still a fun game to pick up there. Hitman 2 on the PS4, also a very good game that will be available for the PS5 through backwards compatibility, of course. And then Predator Hunting Grounds on the PS4. Not the greatest game there, but if you remember, Predator Hunting Grounds does rely on the multiplayer side of things, so having that added to PlayStation Plus does make a lot of sense, considering I'm sure you'll get a bunch of people just kind of checking the game out, and that will at least help with the overall multiplayer population count there. It's an okay month, I would say, for September with PlayStation Plus. Like I said, Overcooked doesn't seem like an overwhelming game for PS5 only. You kind of look towards that as being maybe one that's more technically impressive, even though Overcooked is still a very fun game. But not too bad, I would say. Just kind of average. Certainly worth at least going in and claiming every game. I say people should do that every time, no matter what, because you're paying for PlayStation Plus. You might as well go in and at least claim the licenses just in case you want to check these games out later. You'll have at least added it to your library. So check them out. That's starting September 7th. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a little poll that I posted up yesterday where I asked, what do you think about Marvel's Midnight Suns using a random card system for battles? 86% said I don't like it. 14% said I like it. Like I said, I saw online, people were really excited for the reveal. I mean, it sounded really cool. Firaxis is gonna take the Marvel universe and kind of put the XCOM spin on it. And then the cards started coming out and I just noticed the change in real time. Like on Twitter, for example, people were live streaming it. Yeah, it didn't go over the best. I mean, I'm still holding out hope that the game itself turns out to be good and the card system at least works. The thing I was most concerned about as soon as I saw it had to do with the microtransactions, because, I mean, that seems like a really easy thing to monetize. Good to hear at least a lot of those will be unlockable as you play through it, and you'll still also work to build relationships with different characters, and they said you'll be unlocking passive abilities by doing that alongside of the card system, so I do believe there's going to be a lot to this game. We'll just have to see how it turns out in March. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from 45 saying, no, Starfield is only for Game Pass, full stop, that being from Xbox. I'm confused, so when are we getting Elder Scrolls and Starfield from PS5 users? I almost feel like the shock of Microsoft just buying ZeniMax and Bethesda is still something that people are working through right now, because, I mean, that's a pretty big acquisition. Really a company, a studio, all these developers who would be making multi-platform games. Some were still in development, you know, some exclusives for the PS5, just got bought out by Microsoft, who is a platform holder with the Xbox and technically Windows through PC. So the idea of all of a sudden Starfield, which, you know, thought we're going to be on PS5, is now just on Xbox, is still, I think, registering with a lot of people. And the idea that Pete Hines, I think, is getting at when he's still trying to be vague with some of it is, hey, 20 years from now, gaming could look way different. And you never know. Game Pass, sure, it could be on the PS5 or PS6, 7, 8, whatever we're on then. And then you never know, it could also be on Nintendo's platform. So you still want to leave the door open, because Phil Spencer did say, hey, these games, Starfield, Elder Scrolls, they'll be on any platform that has Game Pass. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's this whole thing around a bunch of Uncharted games in the form of a collection going to PC. How legit do you think that screenshot is? And I guess, do you think we'll hear about it next week? Also, what about the Game Boy Advance getting a brand new game coming out next year in the way of a Kickstarter, physical cartridge and all? And then the whole thing with Cyberpunk 2077. Do you think we're going to see the next-gen patch, next-gen version by the end of this year? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.